Do you wish to have your amaryllis blooming in time for your Christmas season? Well, you're in the right place, because in this video, I'm going to take you through the steps one by one to show you how we force our bulbs at least 12 weeks before the Christmas season. This is a critical time in amaryllis growth cycle throughout the year. This is when you should be looking seriously to see if you have any mature bulbs to start to force them or treat them so that they will bloom in the peak Christmas period. That's what I'd want to share with you, so please come along. Thanks for staying. And for those of you who may not know what forcing is, it is a fairly common practice in horticulture in which plants, various types, are subjected to treatments that induce dormancy. In the case of our amaryllis, we've been practicing forcing for quite a while, and I think we've shown you that in subsequent videos. But the period for amaryllis into the dark room, into the dormancy chamber, is about 6 weeks, and we take it out of the dormancy chamber and put it in the normal growing conditions, and within 4 to 10 weeks, the amaryllis will start producing those glorious blooms. Now, isn't that better than waiting 6 months for nature to take its course? We think so, and lots of other amaryllis growers think so. Well, with that simple explanation, let's move on to the demo. To begin the demo, the first step, of course, you need bulbs of the right size. Now, here in the garden, we had gone through the very detailed inspection and had reaped, I would think, all of the bulbs that were ready for reaping, and we processed those for the dark room. Now, luckily for us and this mini demo, I found 3 bulbs that were clearly overlooked. They are of the right size, allowing us to demonstrate the various steps. And step 1 would of course be to dig them up intact without causing any damage. And given the size and that they were in beds, we had to use a fork. So let me proceed. First step, we have them. Then what we want to do is to remove all of the surface dirt. And normally I put them in a bucket of water, which is right at the end of the table. Leave them there so that the earth on the bulbs would be softer. Here are the bulbs, freshly cleaned, no sign of surface dirt. The roots, of course, you would expect them to look like they were in the dirt. Now, these 2 were from one location and they're fairly intact, but I must say this one surprised me. There is a sign of soft rot going on here, and really I should not have them next to each other on the table. What I'm going to do now is very carefully sanitize the knife. As I say, it's already sharpened. Easier thing is just to squirt the alcohol on it, just, and wipe off the excess alcohol. And what we're going to do is cut close to the neck, to the end of the neck. Not too low, you don't want to damage the bulbs, and there could very well be a young scape trying to come through. So about 1 inch or 1.5 inches up from the neck of the bulb. We cut that off cleanly. Very good. Clean the knife. And the same thing goes for this, about 1.5 inches or so from the narrow point of the neck. This is a medium to large size bulb, pretty good size. We would expect it to produce at least 2 flowering scapes. Next up, we're going to sanitize before we trim the roots. In trimming, I like to cut away all of the roots, leaving a short tuft. This helps in the airflow across the basal plate when the bulbs are placed in the dark room. I'll do the same thing with the second bulb. Here is the basal plate, but this is the area that will produce new roots as soon as the bulb comes out of dormancy. And now for these damaged bulbs, same procedure, sanitize the cutting tool. Then remove the leaves. And for good measure, not the healthiest of bulbs, but Amaryllis is very resilient. And when we have a bulb such as this, don't throw it out. Clean away all of the affected areas to reduce the chance of further rotting during the dark room phase. It is a good idea to soak the bulbs at this point in a solution of equal parts of hydrogen peroxide and water. So you use 3% hydrogen peroxide and dilute it half again and soak the bulbs for about 30 minutes. Let's return to the two healthy bulbs and give them a final surface sterilization with the alcohol. After this, we will leave them in a well-ventilated, protected area away from direct sunlight for them to surface dry for about between 3 and 4 days prior to placing them into the dark room. These 3 bulbs were left to air dry 3 days ago. You see signs of wounding. Anywhere that the bulb got a little slight surface wound, exposure to air, you'll see the red coloration, and that's the sign that it is healing. Very dry, very firm, it has lost a bit of moisture, and this is ready for going into the dark room, which is the next step. So now that the bulbs are nice and air dried, very firm, no sign of moisture on the outside, and anytime you're doing more than one variety, it's always useful to put a code so you label it and know exactly which variety you're dealing with. And I know for most of us, we do not have a basement or even an empty cupboard that we can refer to as a dark room. And if you're just doing a few bulbs, you can make do. You have choices, either a box that can be properly sealed to exclude light, or paper bags. The idea is to keep them dry and fairly comfortable during the period of time. So what I do, I would normally just cushion the bulbs in the box. Do not put too many bulbs in the box. You don't want them to be crowded, or you don't really want them to be crowded in the box, and preferably you leave space between the bulbs and close. Make sure there is no, and preferably put something on top so the lid doesn't open up and inadvertently allow in light. Now, if you're dealing with one bulb, the easier alternative would be to get a firm paper bag or 2 and place them in the bag and place them in an area that nobody will disturb, still in a dark area. If you have a cupboard, a kitchen cupboard or a closed cupboard that you know will not be disturbed, then place them there and keep them for at least 6 weeks. And what I do, and also to make sure that the bulbs are not doing something you don't want them to do, I periodically, every 2 or 3 weeks, I take a very quick peek to make sure that they're firm, intact. So here you are, a portable dark room for your few bulbs, where they will be very happy to remain for 6 weeks. And within 6 weeks of them coming out of the dark room, they will produce beautiful scapes such as these small ones. This takes me to the end of yet another video in our Amaryllis series. We hope the information that we provided is sufficient for you to get going and set your own mature Amaryllis bulbs into dormancy. Now, if your bulbs are in a pot, you may attempt so to induce the same conditions in that you withdraw all water, make sure the soil is dry, you clean up the plants, and you place the plant in the pot in a dark room. I've tried that method a few times, but it's not as successful as taking the entire bulb out of the pot and cleaning it up as we showed. If you like the content of this video, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and make sure that you subscribe, because the next video on Amaryllis we're going to be doing in about 2 weeks. We will be bringing you the results of our own dormancy treatment, and I wouldn't want you to miss that. Until the next video, I am Thelma, sitting among some junior Amaryllis waiting their turn in years to come, saying thanks for watching. You take care. Bye-bye.